Buenos dias and welcome back to another video, everybody. It has been exactly 6 months since I purchased the Canon EOS R and I couldn't be happier. I am happy as a peach in a kettle corn field. Makes no sense. That's the only thing I can think of. Sorry, but it has been 6 months and I'm currently in a hotel room in Sacramento. I thought it'd be a perfect time to talk about my 10 favorite shots that I shot on the Canon EOS R for the last 6 months. So let's just get straight into it. But I will say there is a little bit of a twist to this. These aren't my best shots, but they are unique images to me and things that I've tried while on my learning journey in photography. So I'm really pleased that I tried some of these different types of photography, and let's just get right into it. First shot. The first image that I want to talk about is this one called Blue Confetti. So on this day I was trying my hand at water drop photography and I did a lot of different types of shots. This one really resonated with me as I went back through my images, and it wasn't one that I put on my Instagram at all, but I really did enjoy this image. So the substances that I had in here were milk, blue confetti. I actually had some yellow food coloring, I believe, in there. I tried dozens upon dozens upon dozens of shots, all different types of shots and images, and I tried longer exposure, shorter exposure. I tried mostly fast shutter speeds on this. This was 1/3200th of a second, shot at f9 at 105 millimeters. And the ISO though, my lighting was super terrible on this. So this is where I struggled a little bit. I'd only had the camera for a little bit of time, and this was one of the first things I wanted to try with my camera. The session did turn out pretty good, and I'm really pleased with this shot. So the background is just a black piece of cardboard. I really wanted the water droplets to pop off the screen, but I really like the whiteness or the milkiness of the bottom layer of the bowl, and then just sitting on top, all of that really shimmering confetti. Yeah, I like this shot. It's not one of my best water drop shots. I just like the chaos in the middle where there are just tons of little water droplets like going everywhere. And then you have that one water droplet on the right side trying to escape out of the bowl. I think it's a cool shot, especially with that hint of yellow underneath. It adds something to it. I don't know. The next image was on a day where I wanted to try my hand at some stock photography. So I got a bunch of items from the kitchen and around the house, and I tried different types of setups. This is a steeper, something you would put tea in. I laid this on a glass table that I have in my studio. I put some twinkle lights behind it so you see those kind of bouncing off of the table there. And then I placed the top in a variety of different ways, but this is one of my favorites only because it's a clean, direct shot. I love the reflection down below and even the dark shadow rings that come off the base of the steeper and also off the top of the steeper. Overall, I like the depth of field of this shot. You get a little bit of blurriness in the front where there's that hook. It's just a little soft, but as you go deeper into the image, you start to see it's really sharp. This was shot at ISO 100. My lighting was on point, 50 millimeters. I was actually shooting my 50 millimeter RF lens on this at 1/60th of a second. I think this is one of my best presentations of stock photography. Also have a video on this, and I'll let you know up here when there's a video that corresponds to any of these images. These first 2 images, I did not create any videos that correspond to these images. I'm really happy with the shot. I think it's super clean, and it's not anything that I would print. However, I did create a video on how to sign up and create your Shutterstock account and start selling your videos on Shutterstock. That is right up here in the corner, so you can check that out. Let's move on to the next image. This is a portrait shot of yours truly, and what I like about this shot is that I handed the camera over to my wife and had her snap a few images. And I absolutely love how sharp this image is. I love this in black and white. We were just sitting having lunch down at the beach. This shot, I like it. I like it a lot. It was shot at ISO 100 at 50 millimeters at f1.6 at 1/640th of a second. Buttery. Buttery. I know, I'm bragging about myself. It looks good, come on. So this next image was shot in Los Angeles, and I had gone down to Los Angeles with the intention of shooting most of the pre-sunset day and then into the night. So this image was composed shortly after I had left Elysian Park, which overlooks Dodger Stadium and downtown Los Angeles, and I'd driven over an overpass and saw this, passed it, parked my car, and came back to it. It's not the best long exposure light trails, but I do like the background. It was a very foggy, hazy night. You see a lot of grain in the sky, but I do like the starburst that's coming off of that light on the right side of the frame. And I really like the centerness at the lower part of the image of the 3 freeway signs. Mainly this is the Harbor Freeway or the 110 South, but you also see the sign for Dodger Stadium. I love that the city was all lit up in the background. Yeah, I like this image. I really do wish that the light trails were a little bit more pronounced, but there was a lot of mostly brake lights because these were cars going away from me. You get a lot of softness and not a lot of hard lines in this, but that's okay. Again, I was just trying something different as far as a composition. I absolutely love light trails. It's one of my favorite things, and I can't get enough of it. So when I get a chance, I certainly try to shoot some light trails wherever I am, and it's just a fun thing to do. So yeah, I shot this at ISO 100 at 105 millimeters at f10 and for about 8.5 seconds. So yeah, I like this shot. Again, these are my favorite shots in the last 6 months, and they're unique to me because they're shots that I haven't necessarily put on Instagram. Now some of these I have, but they're ones that I've gone back and really have enjoyed looking at, and I wanted to talk about these. I wanted to show some of these images that I haven't really talked about in any video at all. Oh, by the way, I did shoot a video on this one on shooting downtown LA, so go check that out when you get a chance. All right, let's move on to the next video. I mean the next image. You know what I mean, right? Come on. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. All right, this one was down in Charlotte over the summer, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I started out at sunset. This was actually the first shot of the day. It's a little bit on the grainy side. I shot it at, I think, ISO, 1250 at 31 millimeters through a fence that happened to be opened up. It was a perfect spot to put my lens and actually get that oncoming train. I love that the train had a little bit of red in it in the middle part of that front engine. Really dug that. And if you look at the right side of the tracks, they're mostly empty, and I kind of like that ghostness of there's a ghost town of train tracks and then there's a full yard of trains. So I'm really digging that, and I really like how it just kind of leads in back to this opening and shows you downtown Charlotte, North Carolina in the background. So really like that. I want to shoot this again at night, and I also want to shoot it at sunrise. I really think we can get some really nice light coming off of these buildings. So I have more to do, going back to North Carolina soon, so definitely want to compose a different image, but still nonetheless shoot it in this same specific area. So yeah, I like this one. I like shooting in North Carolina and South Carolina. All right, this next image I shot just the other day right outside my place of business where I work. Trains go up and down all the time. There's like 4, 5, 6 train tracks, and there are times where they leave the containers sitting for hours on end or even days on end. And on this day, I really liked the color scheme of this image. It gave me more of a film look. I love that the containers are kind of set off against that blue sky. We had no clouds in the sky. We have some lightness going on there, almost a gradient from a little bit lighter to even lighter skies as they kind of drop in the back behind the containers. And I like the foreground. The foreground's simple, a lot of weeds coming up in front of the tracks. I really liked how this shot came together. This is more than likely a 3 or 4 shot pano. I did crop it in on the sides. I do remember doing that. And I shot this at ISO 100 at 42 millimeters, 1/40th of a second. This was a handheld pano, so the stitching was a little tricky, but it came out great at 1/125th of a second, so I didn't have as much shake being it handheld. By the way, I forgot to mention the image before. There is a video on my full day of shooting in North Carolina, and this image of the train and subsequent images that I took on that day, and tips on shooting in a new place, in a new environment, in a new city. So check that out. Okay, let's move on to the next image. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is my favorite image of 2019. I actually printed this image of Crater Lake. It's a pano, it's a 4-shot pano. Set it off as black and white because I really liked its look. Plus we were about an hour before sunset, so the light wasn't quite right, but I did love the skies behind it. Crater Lake's a phenomenal place. If you've never visited Crater Lake, I would certainly recommend it. You can get this shot by driving right up and taking this image. So there's no hiking to be had for this image. Many people probably have this very shot or something similar, but I really love the day. I really love the snow caps. Yeah, this came out better than expected, and I'm super happy with this image. I'm putting this up in my new home in South Carolina. I was just blown away by its beauty, and I still love looking at it. I really do. All right, this is an image that I shot a video for. You can watch that right up here. It is a type of photography called ICM, intentional camera movement. And like I say in the video, I think we're all good at this, at getting blurry shots. I think this is what it's all about sometimes. I've got a lot of blurry shots, so I feel like I'm always doing intentional camera movement, but this was fun to go out and intentionally move the camera up and down, left and right, in circles, and shoot at different shutter speeds so you would get different effects. So in this image, I have a friend of mine who actually helped me shoot this video, Patrick. Shout out to you, buddy. So while he was standing there gazing at some flowers or something to that effect, there was some bikers that actually went past me and were headed right past Patrick when I shot this image. This image was actually shot at half a second at f/16, 50 millimeter at ISO 100. So this was mainly an up and down pan, if you will. I really like the colors on this. The only thing that I would have changed was I would have had more of the bottom half of Patrick and the bikes in the shot. But outside of that, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. I had to do it spur of the moment as those bikers went by, and this was the image that I came up with. So I like it. All right, we just have 2 more images and we're all set, talking about my 10 favorite images of 2019 and after 6 months of shooting the Canon EOS R. Super happy with the camera, and I continue to love this camera more and more every time I go and shoot it. So let's take a look at the next shot, and the next shot is again one of my favorites. Not my favorite of 2019, but a super close second, and that is a shot in Joshua Tree of the Milky Way as the background for some of the large beautiful rocks and some of the foliage that is in Joshua Tree. This one was shot at ISO 800 at 20 millimeters, f2.8 over 25 seconds. It's definitely one of my better Milky Way shots. I did shoot a video on this, so if you want to go see how I shot some of my Milky Way shots, right here. So since I was shooting wide on this image, I was able to get everything in frame, and over those 25 seconds I was able to light paint the rocks and some of the foreground, and I think it came out pretty nice. I actually printed this image on metal and mounted it in my studio back home. I think it's about a 16 by 20 print, so it came out okay. I really want to see it printed out on paper, so I think that's the next thing I'm gonna do. All right, the last image that I'm gonna talk about is the Point Fermin Park lighthouse shot. On this day, I actually have a video for this here. On this day, I shot a lot of different images from the daylight hours to the sunset hours to the night. And I got a lot of different images on this day that I really, really liked. This particular image shows the original lighthouse or home that's on a bluff that oversees the Pacific Ocean. And it's actually chained up and locked up, and you can't get to it. I shot it through the gate in the chains, and I like that the little light is on in the house. We had just finished sunset, and I was actually walking back to the car to go to another location, and I snapped this one off. This was handheld at 1/20th of a second, so I did certainly flirt with shake here. I shot it at f4, so very shallow, and at an ISO of 800 at 24 millimeters. But I think it turned out pretty good. It's very simple, but I just like that little light. There's something about the little light inside of that house, and knowing that the ocean and Catalina Island is way back in the background. You can barely see it outlined on the right side of the image, kind of against all the layers of clouds that were starting to form out there as well. So yeah, I enjoy this image. This isn't anything I think I would print, but certainly I love the day, and this was just a different image to talk about versus a lot of the other images that I took. I did a lot of long exposures, I did some sunset shots, some black and white shots. I did a variety of different types of images on this day. That's why I really do recommend watching this video. I had a fun time shooting a lot of different types of images on this day. All right, that's gonna do it, and thanks for hanging out with me and listening in on my 10 favorite shots of 2019 after 6 months of using the Canon EOS R, and I've been using some of my other EF lenses with the Canon EOS R. I'm having a blast. If you don't have this camera, I highly recommend it if you're in the market for a camera, but nonetheless, buy the camera that you feel that makes you happy and that feels good in your hand. I feel like that's what this camera is, and again, Canon is not paying me to say this. They are not sponsoring this by any stretch of the imagination, but nonetheless, I want to say that I am in love with this camera. I love the RF lenses, and even this kit lens, the f4 24-105, very nice, very versatile lens. I've been using it for a lot of different things. I am actually filming this very talk on this camera. Very versatile camera for both stills and for video. All right guys, subscribe if you're not subscribed. I appreciate you so much. Leave me a comment down below. Give me a like if you liked any part of this video. Hit that bell so you'll be notified of future videos just like this one and many more on both video, digital photography, and film photography. Love you guys. I'm out. Peace. All right, I want to show you something because check this setup out. I don't even know if I can get up. I'm gonna get my cell phone and I'm gonna show you what I see here in this hotel room to try to get the lighting somewhat right. I think I had a little too much shadowing happening here, but I want to show you some behind the scenes because I don't think I'll ever have this exact setup again. Hold on. All right, I'm back. This is what I was looking at. Here's my camera. I've got a lamp that you can see cords back all the way back to the door over there. So it was normally right here. And then I took this light shade that was from this light off. And then I thought, oh, I can use it to set my computer on and go through all the images that I talked about tonight. Then this light, which is leaning this way here so I can get that light to the left side of my face, was actually standing right here straight up, and then this one I just moved into the frame a little bit closer, and there's the desk. But this is the setup here. This is what I was looking at today.